Episode 5. We last recorded on Thanksgiving, and it's now actually Wednesday, so we're a little off script of our trying to do it on weekends. I'm sure we'll eventually kind of sync back up and get it done. So this is coming to you midweek. We actually launched our winter hoodies earlier this week for Exclusive Minds. So you can find those today at exmnds.com. That launch went live on Monday. Already had a great response, and we are looking to finalize pre-orders over the weekend and get everybody's orders shipped out by late next week, we're hoping. Very sensitive to that. That's one of the things that's always been a challenge, is just making sure that we are aware that you guys are paying for it up front and get it to you as quickly as possible, because we do know that we live in this instant gratification world. So
yeah.
At any rate, we'll have some more about that in a little bit, but I think we wanted to kick off this episode with our favorite topic of late, and no, it's not coffee. So maybe it's our second favorite topic. Maybe it's our third favorite topic. No, so we're gonna talk crypto. We've actually got a special guest, and this time we are doing it via phone. So if you recall the last two episodes, we actually had in studio. I'll call it a studio, right?
We flew people out.
We had
for their hotels.
We had in studio guests, which was kind of cool. So we had 3 and 4 mic action going, but this time we have a guest caller. So this is our first time bringing somebody in remote from Denver, Colorado, I think. But I'll let you introduce, and we'll get rolling with it.
Yeah, so this is my friend De Luca, or Marcus. Marcus, if you want, just get straight to it. If you want to give a little rundown about yourself, kind of let the people know what you're into and your background a little bit.
Yeah, most definitely. So some of the listeners may know me. I'm actually from Chester County, Pennsylvania. I grew up in Ackland. I was born at the Brandywine Hospital. But I moved out to Colorado when I was like 16, around there. And yeah, my name is Marcus Carter. I've done a lot of things in my life. I'm just like a go-getter. I kind of like to challenge myself to just try new things and learn new things. I think that anything that isn't growing or learning is dead. So I try to be alive, and I'm trying to always push myself, push my limits, push my comfort zone so that I can really be growing. But nowadays, I'm really heavily into crypto, NFTs, the blockchain. I play a little bit of video games here and there, and then I'm a writer heavily. So yeah. I write, hip hop music, and I write books. So
yeah. So I like that you said pushing the comfort zone. Do you want to talk about that, expand on what you mean by that? I feel like we kind of live in a day and age where comfort seems to be the number one thing for a lot of people, and if you're uncomfortable, that is often a sense of growth and a sense of progression for the most case.
Yeah, definitely. I just really, for me, I was extremely comfortable in Pennsylvania. My whole family's out there. That's where a lot of my family is, or was. We kind of spread out nowadays, but it was just very comfortable. I didn't really have anything to worry about. I was always able to just bounce around from place to place, depending on my circumstance and situation, whatever was going on. And I had a strong support system. But when I got out of that comfort zone, I started to grow. I started to expand my mind. I was very uncomfortable, right? I came out to Boulder, Colorado. There's barely any black people, right?
Okay.
I'm black, right?
That's true.
So I come out here, and it's a lot of white people, and I'm from, Chester County, and we talk a little different. We're a little aggressive out there, so I had to tone it down because people was kind of scared. They was like, "Whoa, who is this darky?" You know what I'm saying? So I had to that taught me a little bit about professionalism, being able to turn on and off,
right.
Different traits, right? That was just me stepping out of my comfort zone because I was so comfortable being what I like to call ignorant. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Using a lot of slang terms and just talking in a way that wasn't very professional. I was very comfortable doing that. And then I came out here and really expanded my mind, expanded my vocabulary,
right.
Started hanging out with different groups of people. I was really heavily training basketball when I got out here. I wasn't able to get over my my inability to take authority So I didn't get along with the head coach of the basketball team. So I never played for his team, but I always practiced with him. I was always at practice. I just never was playing. Like when the season came around, I wasn't with it. I was like, y'all got that.
Okay.
Just because. Go ahead.
No, so I was going to kind of like before, because there's a lot to break down from what you're talking about. So like kind of going back to that initial thought point when you said that Chester County, and Joe, you could chime in here. Like when you guys travel to different areas, do you notice that there's that sense of like like kind of almost like what we just would call like everyday talk, but to other people would come off as like aggressive or anything like that? Or is that just something that people kind of have like this misconception of? Like, do you think that from our area over here, it's more...
Well, I mean, so I guess my take, and I've been to Boulder, right, in San Francisco, and a couple of their, I guess what you would call artsy kind of areas. So I mean, that's an extreme, right? I mean, I think Boulder is a very laid back, kind of vibe. So that's kind of going from sort of, city metro, East Coast, kind of, I mean, everywhere along the East Coast is just sort of, I can't get from point A to point B fast enough. And if someone gets in my way, I want to run them over. Right.
Aggressive.
And, so, I mean, if you go to Philly and you go to Boston, it's going to be kind of the same vibe.
Right.
They might have a little bit of a accent, right? But when you kind of go and make that move from
West Coast,
just an Eastern seaboard city to kind of, Boulder, Colorado. That's a little bit of a dramatic shift.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, just like you guys were talking in one of the last episodes about like how water tastes different in different places. And people say different, like some people say water, some people say water.
Yep.
Just depends on where you are.
Yeah, it's funny. I heard you say water, and I'm like, there he is. He's actually kind of self-correcting because I'm sure you used to say water, right?
Oh yeah, all the time. I used to say water all the time, and I came out here and people were like, "Water, what is that?" And I'm like,
"Yep,
you're drinking water right now. What are you talking about?"
WOULDER.
Yeah. So.
But all right, so let's shift gears. I guess get into the meat and potatoes. So. The main reason that you came on here, besides us being good friends, is you just came out with this crypto book. Do you how did you get started in the crypto, NFTs? I know you just put out a project literally a couple days ago. Like, give us the rundown and your experience with that so far, and where you kind of see things moving forward.
Totally. So I just dropped a book. It's the introduction to the blockchain, and really with this book, I'm covering just the basics of what the blockchain technology actually is, because I believe that you can't really get into anything unless you have a foundation, a solid understanding of the foundation. So when you talk crypto and NFTs, you can't talk that without understanding the blockchain, because all of that is spawned from the blockchain.
Right, it's built on that.
Right, exactly. So my story with crypto, I actually first heard about crypto 7 years ago. And I was at school. I was at Watson University, going to school to be a social entrepreneur. At the time, I was working on the clothing brand Evolve Clothing, as I'm sure some people know about. And I was at school. There was this guy he was a tech guy, and he was just kept talking about the blockchain and crypto. And I was like, dude, I don't know what you're saying. This is a different language to me.
Yeah.
And he was like, dude, if we all just put $10 down, we can get a few Bitcoin. And he's like, in 10 years, we could split that Bitcoin and we could be in a very different position. Everybody didn't really take him seriously. People would entertain his idea, right? Oh yeah, we're going to let you talk about the blockchain. But nobody understood it because it wasn't broken down in a manner that was understandable for us, because he was so deep into it that it was just going over a lot of people's heads. And then, years later, I just watched the markets. I got into stocks. I got into penny stocks, everything. Like, I just started watching the markets, and I'm like, let me see what this crypto is really all about. So I started following a few people on Instagram. I'm not going to give their names out. They don't need the clout right now. They got enough clout. But I started following some of these people who are really heavily in crypto and NFTs, and really started just understanding what's going on in this space. And from there, I started to invest. believe it or not, my first investment was a shitcoin. Which
so for the
is
people that don't know what that is, that's just like a coin that's essentially like a pump and dump. It's just all for hype, right?
right, exactly. You're not really. It has no real value. It's just something that has some hype behind it. People get excited. When people get excited, they dump money into it, and then you can run off, right?
Yeah.
So I got in on Dogecoin. As a lot of people know, this is how a lot of people started hearing about it: Bitcoin and
Man.
Dogecoin.
Yeah. And this is
So
what gives it a bad name, I feel like, because every time that we
For
talk,
sure.
we get on the topic of crypto, Joe thinks that there's some overlining Ponzi scheme going on, and it's
Yeah.
because of the it's because
Yeah.
it's because of the
shit coins.
yeah, it's because of the
shit
Doge
for
coins
sure.
and the Shiba coins.
Yeah, so these are coins that have outrageous market caps. They don't ever plan on stopping producing coins. It's just like it's a joke, and that's how I really tested the waters. I got in. Sure enough, it was right before this massive pump. I got in below a penny. So and then it ran up to 75 cents, damn near.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like, whoa, let me really actually explore this space, because everybody that I was following that was talking about crypto, they were like, do not invest in Dogecoin. Don't do it. Like, if you know anything about it, you don't do it. You just stay away from it because it's a joke.
Right.
And I was like, dude, I made money on it. Shut up. What you talking about? I thought I was the man. And then I started to actually study up on it. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to stay away from those type of coins. I want to stay away from that type of stuff.
Well,
just
so
because
I'm guessing that it's gained some credibility though, right? Because doesn't Mark Cuban accept it? Don't I
What's
think
that? Doge or Shiba?
Doge, or is that? I can't keep them. I can't keep them all straight. I thought it was Doge.
Mark Cuban got behind Doge really big. A lot of people did, actually. Believe it or not, down in Florida, there was a dealership that was like, we'll accept payments in Dogecoin.
Yeah.
And there is still a little bit of a community behind it, but it's
built on
right
hype
now.
though. That's what it's really built just on the pure fact that it's hype. And that
Right.
dealership, how many cars do you think are being bought with the Shiba coin? It's more for the fact that we're accepting this, so it's just getting more eyeballs. The same thing, I don't know if you've tuned into our last one, but we were talking about, or you did because you brought it up to me, that NFT that sold for $500 million. It's just these crazy like asks or crazy like click factors that kind of bring eyeballs to something to where people are like, all right, well, I'm going to support this, or, oh, this is official now because a car dealership's doing it, or this is official because it's sold for $500 million. Or at Thanksgiving, Joe was like, did you see that something was sold on Decentraland for $9 million, like Earth 2 or whatever it was? So it's just these clickable things that could, kind of just bring in eyeballs, and I don't know. People are just like, oh, that's cool to see that it's doing something, but typically it's like not the case. It's kind of all smoke and mirrors, essentially,
Yeah, definitely. I would say it's definitely that way with anything that, I mean, not anything, right? Because Bitcoin has a lot of hype, but it actually has some value,
Mm-hmm.
Like if you actually were to break down Bitcoin and really just everything in general, where we're headed as a civilization is this digital era. People want to be on the internet more than they want to be outside on a hike. And how can you value something in this era? That's where we are. We're in this very weird phase.
Yeah.
Where it's like literally digital things are way more important than physical things. People don't care about the physical anymore. They care about the digital, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen the game like Ready Player, or the movie Ready Player One.
Of course.
Yeah, there's a lot of movies like that. Ready Player One. There's Wreck-It Ralph. There's The Matrix. It's all been talking about this digital, era where people are going to like really be uploaded into this digital world and be able to do whatever they want. And it's actually happening in real life and in real time, and we get to see this unfold. And for me, I believe that that's going to be the way that we transact. Everybody went from like, oh, I want to be big on Instagram. They're trying to do everything for clout on Instagram. Now it's TikTok, right? People were getting on YouTube just because views, views. It doesn't matter if you're making money or not, but the views is what matters, because, oh, you have some sort of clout, the more people that are seeing your videos,
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, so it's just like, I definitely think long term it's going to see fruitful, because people they're trying to get away from the institutions. They're trying to get away from the centralization of everything. And this has opened up the floodgates for that to actually be possible.
Right.
So it's just a matter of it continuing to go through these processes and the works of really becoming mainstream.
Yep.
Because, they say there's only less than 1% of the world that even has a digital wallet, but you have things that are selling on the digital marketplace for millions of dollars. How does that make sense?
I mean, and so it kind of sounds like you're kind of all in with the crypto and the NFTs and like that, Ready Player One type mindset. Would you say that like that's coming within the next, like what would you say that timeline's looking like?
It's hard to say, honestly. I'm definitely all in on it. I believe in it just because how people are interacting. I used to be a heavy gamer, and I would game for like 13 hours straight, and I would not eat.
Hey, man.
So
been there.
I know
We've
that
all been
there's
there.
people that do that.
We have.
We've been there.
That's a real thing, and it's not going to ever stop. And there's more people that are doing that now than ever. But as far as a timeline on it, there's really no telling. I don't think that we're going to see the full spectrum of it in our lifetime. That's for sure. I think that it's going to be heavily adopted, but it's going to become sort of a norm, but we're still going to be kind of traditional with everything in our lifetime. But, I have a daughter, right? Mm-hmm. So in her lifetime, I think that she's going to see the full picture. It's going to be completely digital. Like people are going to be interacting completely different. That's what I believe. I think that in the next, 5 to 10 years, it's going to be a lot more mainstream, but it's still going to be like there's a select group of people that are really interacting on there. And those are the people who are going to become the billionaires and trillionaires of the next generation.
Yep.
Fair enough. I mean, you made a couple connections to this, and this is something that we talk about quite often, but you're talking about gaming, right? So what do you say, like, would you say that the gaming community kind of has a closer like niche to the crypto community by chance, or would you just say that's something that it's just kind of a coincidence? Because I happen to know a lot of people who are gamers or who are like into that space, whether it be using Discord or even Joe's son who's into the Bitcoin space and he's a gamer himself and he's kind of getting more into the crypto now. So would you kind of say that that's a coincidence that those things are so tightly attached, or do you feel like, these gamers understand because they're used to buying skins on games all the time, like, on CSGO you used to buy like a Dragon Lore or whatever for thousands of dollars, or Call of Duty skins or Fortnite skins for, hundreds of dollars, where someone who's just like working the 9-to-5 job is like, I'm not going to spend $20 on a virtual skin. I just want to play the game. I already spent $60. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that it's not coincidence because a lot of the gaming companies are heavily invested in the blockchain. A lot of your mobile apps, they run off of blockchain technology. So I don't think that it's really a coincidence. I think that the gamers are going to be the one that push the envelope because there's 2 billion gamers in the world, over 2 billion gamers, so they're going to be the ones that really make it mainstream as they actually benefit from it. So there's a lot of companies that are pushing out things like where you get paid to play.
Yeah, that's what we talked about, kind of
gaming or anything like that. Like a normal person can just log on, play the game,
complete some challenges or something like that.
They can get rewarded.
Exactly right. Yeah, I mean,
so
that could be like
that's going to kind of push things in a new direction because people are already gaming, and it's like, yo, if I could sit down and actually earn some money that I could then, if the market, I could swap it out here, and then grow my money, right? More people are going to end up gaming because I could be at the crib playing a game, entertaining myself, making money.
Yeah, I mean.
So I have a ton of questions, as the layman who doesn't really still understand all of this. So I guess the first thing, let's dive into blockchain and kind of the foundation that you sort of talked about, and I know your book's about, and we'll plug that before we get done here and where everybody can get it. But so I know, for instance, like Bitcoin and Ethereum are, I think, blockchain based, but Doge, as we just talked about, right, isn't. It's just, hey, here's a billion Doge coins, and there's really nothing tangible behind it, right? And they could just say, well, now we have 2 billion and whatever it is. So can you talk a little bit about, I guess, blockchain and how that is the foundation, and how that also, how some of the cryptos differ in their use of it?
Yeah, absolutely. There's not a very simple way to put it necessarily. When
I
you
was
really
afraid
start
you'd
to
say
pull
that.
back these layers,
Yeah.
basically, blockchain. So let me start with what the blockchain is for people. The blockchain is technology that is constantly creating blocks of information that are verifiable by the technology still existing. So as long as people are operating on the platform, right, Bitcoin, as long as people are mining it and transacting with it, there will be blocks continually put out that you can then verify what transactions actually happen. They call this a ledger, right? They call it the ledger of Bitcoin, where you can actually see all these transactions. Now, as far as how different companies are using the blockchain, I like to consider like Bitcoin digital gold. You would never just go to the store and be like, hey, I have a gold bullion, let me get a TV. You wouldn't do that. It's something that you would just hold because of the long-term value, because it's like the foundation of this entire age of blockchain technology. Crypto started with Bitcoin. There's no way around that. Any day of the week, anybody could be like, oh, I'm the first such and such to do it, but you were spawned because Bitcoin came up with the idea, you know? As far as like different, there's so many coins out there that is really hard to say like what everyone is doing. But I know that Ethereum is heavily using this technology to basically have a intrinsic value for art, digital, digital games, and pretty much the metaverse. They're the ones pushing the metaverse narrative.
That's like Decentraland and stuff like that.
Right. That's like Decentraland. Sandbox,
Right.
Roblox has their own little network that they're working on.
Right.
And when you think about it, at the core of all of this is just faith in this system. Different blockchains work different ways. So there's proof of work versus proof of stake. I'm not going to get too much into that, but they just work differently based on how the blockchain technology is set up. And it's basically a way that people are able to verify transactions, and they verify them differently.
Got it.
When you said faith, me and Joe kind of looked at each other, because last podcast I said that about quant. I said, you kind of just got to hope that, it picks back up. Well, it's not really hoping. You kind of believe in it and you have trust in it. But when you say stuff like faith or hope to someone, it's
not a strategy. Yes.
Yeah,
No.
it kind of raises some eyebrows. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, because we're talking about something that
it's like $1 billion, operation.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Some people don't even really believe in faith. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how can I put faith in something that I don't even...
Exactly.
Yeah, so I understand completely. And that's kind of where a lot of people have a hard time understanding or getting behind the blockchain and the blockchain technology. But I can say this. The thing that made it click for me was this idea of everything that you see, everything, no matter what it is, this started from nothing. Like literally, somebody had an idea in their mind and they went about and they figured that idea out. This is just a dream, right? This is, I have this concept that
kind of sounds like religion. No, just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, you could go to religion.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm busting balls. No, so I wanted to ask you, right? But because we're kind of going down that path of, what I know you're very strong opinion about this. It's just like, where do you see like paper hard-earned cash going in the next couple of years? Because we all know, like, I don't know, 100 years ago, the $100 bill was worth 100, and then over time, if you were to keep that in your bank account, it's worth like half of that, or like, a fraction of that. So it's like, this thing is very just, outdated. It's not backed by anything. It's just kind of like a thing of the past at this point. When do you see that kind of going out the window? And then Joe, if you want to put your 2 cents in on that too, like, I mean, what do you guys feel about that? Do you think there's going to be, let's say, 5 years? What do you think the state of like paper currency will be? I know it's kind of like a ridiculous sounding question, but you know, what do you think about that?
That's a question, huh? I think, again, I don't think that we're going to see the death of fiat currency in our timeline. I think that they will try to get rid of like the paper itself because the process is kind of destructive to the environment.
Yeah.
But as you see, money has no actual value besides the value that people put in it. It has value because the government says it has this value. Right? It used to be backed by gold, right? It used to be backed by something, but now they literally will print. And the pandemic is the perfect example for this. How much money did they print during the pandemic?
Trillions.
Where did this money come from?
So now
the ether.
So what would you, do you have a response to that question, or where do you see like?
I mean, the biggest challenge is obviously these governments are going to push back, right? We've already seen China do it, right? They're losing control, right? So they don't want to lose monetary control. That key word is control, right? They don't want to lose that control. So, you know, they basically banned Bitcoin and Bitcoin mining completely from China. And I know the U.S. has talked about a digital currency, which, you know, I think makes sense. I mean, clearly paper money is a thing of the past and it's going to be. How long it takes for that to happen is anybody's guess, but I think clearly it's heading in that direction. The challenge is that as we become more digital, especially from a government perspective, they have a tracking mechanism, right? Your privacy goes completely out the window, right? I can pay you $200 for that hat on your head and not have to pay taxes or anything on it. But sure enough, as soon as the government gets involved with a digital transaction where I'm paying you $200 for that hat, they're going to want their 6% or 10% or whatever it is tax fee, and that's just another way for them to get to our money.
Didn't they just announce that there's going to be some sort of tax in 2022? Did you guys hear about that, or like something to do with crypto? I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, Marcus.
Yeah, absolutely, and I know exactly what you're talking about. It's kind of it's a weird area, you know, because really right now, the only way that they can tax you is if you realize those capital gains and you pull it out as fiat money. Now, if you don't pull it out as fiat money, there's a lot of different exchanges like Uniswap, PancakeSwap, where you can actually just swap coins that you have for other coins. And if you never really realize the gains, then the government never really gets anything. And that's why they're pissed, because they're like, dude, we need control over this. So
do you think that's the reason that the government's kind of staying away from it? It's because it's all trackable, too. If I have Joe's wallet, I could see exactly who he's paying, at what time he's paying, and the exact number that he's paying. You know what I mean? Do you think
they want that control?
They want that control?
They want that control.
The IRS, the government wants that control because then they can, I mean, they literally can tax every penny, every transaction that occurs, where right now they don't have that ability.
Do you think that kind of is like shooting themselves in the foot, though? Because like with some of the money that you don't know where these politicians are spending their money, or these
careful what you ask for. That's true.
You know what I mean?
Because that is true.
They want the control, but they don't want the transparency, because just as much as they want to control, they want their 6%. They also don't want the bottom 1% knowing what they doing with that money.
Right. Well, it's like they're trying to make it so it's a one-way.
Well, so I mean, what you're saying here is you're seeing, you could say it's greed, right? It's these politicians who don't know what they're asking for and what they're not really looking at the cause and effect, right? So right now they're just sitting there going, well, you know, we might be able to capture another $1 trillion worth of taxable revenue because we can see everything that we couldn't see now. And they're not thinking about, well, wait a second here.
Yeah, well, exactly. And that's the whole thing that we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago with the UN when they asked Elon Musk for that $6 billion. They're like, if these top guys at the 1%, they could just spare off, dollars of cents off the dollar for them. He's like, all right, well, if you guys bring me like a balance sheet, I'll send that no problem. Now, if the blockchain was implemented, I guess during this whole thing, I mean, that could be a whole different conversation. But I think they are going to be shooting themselves in the foot if that's how they want to go about it, because they're trying to, just as much as they're trying to invade privacy, their privacy is also being leaked at the same time. So definitely brings an interesting question.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know one thing is the powers of this blockchain technology. Like, people can literally, with this, they can govern themselves. And I think that's a big reason that it's not pushed as mainstream as people want it to be, is because with this, like, we want to talk about cleaning up the streets of any hood, you know what I mean? All right, there's too much gang violence in Chicago, right? Well, we're going to create the Chicago coin. And anytime that we see kids cleaning up the block, they're going to get something that then they can transact with at such and such merchants, right? Because now you're incentivizing the people to do good in the community. There's no and that just grows, because you got to think the way that this whole system works out is the hoods are part of this system. You know, there's a reason that you get a worse education in at Octorara than you do at Boulder. Like, the education I got at Boulder was almost college level, because I'm out here with the people who have, like, these people have money. The average cost of a house out here is almost $1 million plus, you know?
Yep.
And they're getting a different education, whether people want to face it or not. Like, they're not getting the same education as I was getting back in PA. It's just never going to happen. You know, I came here and I was like, wow, like, y'all, this is how y'all do things, you know? So again, I think that it's a control thing. They don't want the transparency. They want the control. And that's why they're making things like the USDC and the USDT, because they can control that, and they don't necessarily have to be transparent with that.
And for the
because
people, what's the USDT?
Crypto.
What's the USDT for people that don't know?
USDT is US dollar tethered, and its value is based off of the value of the dollar.
So it's a crypto coin that's a dollar.
Right, exactly. It stays at $1. It might go up to 90, or it might go up to 101. It might go down to 99, but it's doesn't really fluctuate. Like, crypto is extremely volatile, right?
Right.
So today you might be down 20%, but over the long run you might be up 1,500%. And a lot of people can't stand to, you know, deal with those losses, right? Even though it's not a loss because you didn't realize it.
Yeah.
So the USDT is just a way that the government is going to have their foot now in the digital space, because it's going to be hard for them to track. Because you can have, how many wallets do you want? You want 50, 35, 100 wallets? Go ahead, go make them. Now it's going to be hard to track down those wallets, especially when people do things like VPNs and all of this. What government's going to get the text? You know, chase me down. You know, it's like this whole, we're getting into a very different age of
taxation and all that different type of jazz.
Right. Exactly.
So this is kind of digressing a little bit, but this is a question for both of you guys, starting with you, Joe, if you didn't have any questions about that. Overall, I know that we're all talking about money and crypto, whatever. Overall, would you consider money to be able to buy you happiness?
So, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it certainly doesn't hurt. I mean, I don't have it, so I don't know if it can buy me happiness. But yeah, I mean, let's face facts. I don't. If you have it, it makes life a lot easier, right? It might not solve all of your problems. It could create other problems, but I gotta believe that it certainly helps and eases the transition.
For sure. Okay, that's a fair answer. How about you, Marcus?
I would say that does it actually buy happiness? No, you have to be happy. Happiness is something that you find within. But I can say, if you don't have money and you're not happy, chances are you're going to be a lot less happy because you don't have money. You're struggling, you know, all of these kind of things will play into that happiness. If you're not nourished, how can you expect to be happy?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I think it's just like a tool, right? At the end of the day, I mean, the way that I kind of break it down is I almost look at it like ups, like a V, right? At the top is just kind of your base happiness, you know. Someone gives you the barista messes up your drink at Starbucks and gives you a free coffee. You're happy. That's a happy thing, you know. But then towards the bottom, you're getting closer to like serious things like your family, your friends, all that different type of jazz. So almost kind of happiness, money could almost go down so many layers before it just can't solve those problems towards the end of the funnel, if that makes sense. That's kind of how I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that really, at the end of the day, happiness is it's a state of being. It's a mindset thing. And I mean, you could be the happiest person on the face of the planet and not have $1 to your name. And it's all about perception. And I think that if your mind isn't right, you're not going to be happy whether you have money or not.
Absolute truth. That's the truth.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. It's a crazy question.
I guess we should kind of transition into NFTs, right? So I know we talked blockchain and crypto, and NFTs is kind of an extension of that, but different. So I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about, NFT versus blockchain versus crypto and how that all plays, because I know that's typically, I think, associated with more tangible things, I think. But
yeah, and an NFT is non-fungible token, right?
Correct. NFT stands for non-fungible token. And for anybody that doesn't know what fungible means, it's just, it means you can't duplicate it. It can't be copied or anything like that. It's, when we think of NFTs, just think of the next level of copyrights and trademarks, because when you put out an NFT, within the metadata of that file that you're putting out, it's stamped and certified and backed by the blockchain. And then you can use crypto to purchase that NFT and own that NFT. So now you have ownership of something that is verified on the blockchain.
I have a question.
Go for it.
So what if I just hold the power button and the up volume on my phone and take a screenshot of your picture of your NFT?
So that's cool. You have a screenshot of the picture.
Right.
But you don't actually own the picture, right? So
yeah, no, that was just a dumb question. I just wanted to get some people's reactions off that. Obviously, that's not the case, It's like
no doubt.
having the Mona Lisa versus having a poster of the Mona Lisa, right?
Right, exactly. Like, you don't have, okay, cool, you got the Mona Lisa, you got a copy of the Mona Lisa in your bedroom, right, but you don't actually have it. And as we're talking about this metaverse and all of this stuff that's really about to happen on these digital platforms, now you've heard about digital real estate, people buying plots of land for $9 million, right?
Yes.
Joe was the one that brought that to my attention. I didn't even know about that, but obviously I know what Decentraland is. But like the day it happened, you came up to me, you're like, "Yo, did you hear about this?"
Yeah, I mean, it was on the news, and it was $2.4 million for a quote unquote plot of land in Fashion District in Decentraland, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Right? I mean, right. I've heard of Minecraft, but I have never heard of Decentraland, and you knew it, and I just was like, wow, right? I mean, it's crazy.
Mana, that's the ticker for it.
Yeah, that's the ticker. So basically, with this digital era, right, when you think about NFT, this is how a lot of people can actually really understand the blockchain, because people are like, oh, the blockchain is it's a fairy tale. But when you think about NFTs and you think about, all right, now you get on your Xbox, right? And instead of you being on the Xbox, you're putting on these virtual glasses, right? And you can I can all of a sudden be transported digitally to Rook's crib, and Rook has a Bored Ape yacht collection poster, actual.
Oh my
painting
God,
on
I
his
wish
wall.
I had it. I'd be up.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's like he's the only one that owns that. That's right there. Yeah, it might not be a physical thing that I could take to my house, but now in my digital home,
it's a flex.
What was that?
I said it's a flex.
Yeah, exactly. It's a big flex. And
so
go ahead.
So NFTs are is it all digital asset, or because I thought I saw somewhere like, isn't Tom Brady like selling one of his footballs from a Super Bowl and he's tagging it with an NFT?
Yeah, you could do.
So how's that work? Is that just like it's like a letter of authenticity?
Exactly.
But it's a blockchain letter of authenticity versus just him signing a piece of paper?
Right, exactly. And basically the way this works, so with the NFT, you can do something like give unlockable content or just give value to somebody who purchases the NFT. So me as an artist, right, I just dropped the NFT, and this is a visualizer to a song that I already dropped, but I didn't drop the visualizer. So if the person purchases the NFT, they own the visualizer, right? So they're able to actually consume this content, look at it off of the Rarible marketplace. And then in addition to that, they unlock a song that I didn't release anywhere. Is going to be an exclusive release to whoever owns my NFT. So you can give value. Like, to give you another idea, if I wanted to sell my house, I could be like, the only way that you could buy my house from me is if you purchase my NFT, and my NFT is valued at this. And then they have to verify that here I have the transaction in my wallet. Here's the actual NFT. And then I can give you the house, right? So you can attach NFTs to something that is tangible. You can attach it to something that's just digital. It's really just a token. It's a certificate saying that this is this product. This is what this is.
Now, there's two questions I have. So you mentioned we'll start first thing with the song, and then we'll go to the house because they're two different things at two different extremes.
Also, the song sounds like a microtransaction. So it's you're not like doing it multiple times. You're saying that only one person has that unique song, or you could offer it up to as many people that want to buy multiple NFTs. That's, I mean, to me, it sounds like a microtransaction within a transaction.
Right, exactly. So you could do it however you want to structure it, right? Mine is a one of one. So whoever owns the NFT, they get an unlocked song. And what happens is if somebody actually sells that NFT, the new owner will get that song as well. But I'm not posting this song on the internet. And if somebody tries to post it, since it's verified by the blockchain, they're not actually able to, because within the metadata of my file, it says this is unlockable content. So
what if they so they can't repost it anywhere? It's just for exclusive listening access. Like, let's say I'm the owner, I bought it off of you, so I have the rights to it now, right? And I post it on the line post it online while I still own it. How does that work?
So you could do something like do a video with the song. Well, it really all depends on the smart contract that's set up.
Okay.
Because in somebody's smart contract, they could be like, no, you can't even let anybody hear it, right?
So there's like a number of things there's a number of variables that could go into it.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into this. That's what I'm saying. This is like a 3-day conversation.
Right. All right. So then the next question I had was about the house, right? So you said I could buy your house off of you with an NFT. Now, because like if I told, let's say I bought Joe's house off of him for one NFT. And Joe's like, all right, cool, I'm not leaving. And I go to the police and I'm like, hey, here's a proof that I bought this house off of an NFT. Is that enough proof to show that I bought this house off of Joe? Like, you know what I mean? Like, who's backing it at the end of the day?
So it's just like, basically it's not with the NFT. It would be, you would put in the price, you would attach the deed. There's all of these things that you would have to attach now to this NFT. So now when the NFT is transferred, this means that now you actually have ownership, and you would have to actually put these documents out there. Okay. I don't know too many like real estate agents that are doing this. I just know of this idea because I heard of it through the grapevine. Like, this is what people are trying to start doing. Mm-hmm. And again, it comes down to, you need to have like a Web3 developer who can really flesh out a smart contract that says anytime this NFT is purchased, it's attached to this house. This is the plot of land. Like, everything has to be in there. And yes, absolutely. If he doesn't leave, if you have the deed to the house and you're like, yo, this is my crib, you have the lease saying that this is somebody who is renting, they're 5 months behind, I can put them out. It's a legal process, but you now have an NFT that's verifiable by the blockchain, and you can show, look, I actually own it, and here's all the documentation. And it's a safe place. It's a storehouse for all of that information now.
So it goes kind of like in like an escrow type deal, or it's just in the contract, like just like the deed's kind of just out there then, and then when the purchase goes through, it just comes to me type deal.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
But with this, we're kind of, in a sense, eliminating a third party, because the only third party that's needed is for the transaction to process. But outside of that, once somebody owns that NFT, now there's no need for a third party. So now I don't have to have it at, where they store the deeds, because you don't typically have the only deed. You'll have a deed, and then you'll have a copy of the deed at, an escrow service, or what do they call those people? I can't even remember the name right now. I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, it sounds like there's a number of functionality and, like I said, variables that kind of go into it. You could really kind of personalize it any which way. But Joe, do you have any doubts, or are you still skeptical about the whole crypto NFT thing, or did this kind of ease it up a little bit, or you still have any like burning questions that you're like, I don't know, this still seems fishy to me?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, right? I mean, it goes back to the very original pain point, which is, I get the blockchain, I get what's kind of going on, but there was no, I mean, so I guess it's the gold thing, right? You're mining, right? I mean, it's even gold though. There's a physical metal. I mean, at the end of the day, right? I mean, there's nothing there, right? As you mentioned, right? It started as an idea. And, for me, it was just kind of hard to grasp the concept that, there's, blockchain's a 1.2 trillion market cap, and there's nothing behind it.
Yeah.
Though there really is. I mean, some of it, like you said, is belief
like
and faith, and it's
value.
now a system, right? So, I mean, that system has value, and the transaction ledger and all that stuff has value, but it's just, I don't know. I'm getting there slowly, but it's difficult.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to hear your opinion on that. And DeLuca, Marcus, we had an idea, right? So I was talking to Joe about this off the air. We have an idea where we might do something where me and Joe invest a certain amount. We don't have the idea kind of refined, but let's call it like $100. I'll throw it into like maybe like either a crypto with him or a traditional stock, and then he'll do it in the crypto, right? And we'll just kind of like bi-weekly or every week on the podcast be like, hey, like, by the way, Joe's investment's up to now $120 instead of that $100, and then I could say like, oh, my investment's up to like 110, so maybe I'll have to get you like in my corner, kind of steering him in the right direction, so he sees like some crazy gain on that.
Oh, for sure. You know me. I can't even say like where I'm connected to a lot of things where I get like a lot of information that people don't have unless they're researching 24/7. So I'm able to give you some of these plays that, and of course it's volatile, right?
Sounds like some insider trade if you ask me.
What happened?
I said, sounds like some insider trade knowledge if you ask me.
No, it's not even insider trade knowledge. It's more so knowing about a project before they start promoting the project, IDOs and ICOs and that kind of thing. Which, if anybody doesn't know, this is an initial DEX offering or an initial coin offering. And an initial coin offering is when a coin goes to market and you can initially purchase it. And the IDO is when a project is trying to get off of the ground and you invest in it. It's a crowdfunding mechanism on the blockchain. And then with that, you then get incentivized to help with the project. So they might be like, look, anybody who supported the IDO when the IDO was live is now going to get, airdropped a certain amount of their token, which might actually have some crazy value when they do the airdrop. So it's like free money. But again,
so it's just like an IPO on the stock side.
Yeah. That's what I was just about to say. So if we were to try to do something with Exclusive Minds and drop a, let's say a T-shirt, and you could only buy it with Bitcoin or Ethereum, I know there's these things called gas prices and all that different type of jazz. Is that even something that we could do right now, or does it have to be like a smaller coin where there's not necessarily these crazy high gas prices, or how do you get around doing something like that?
So the real question is, what is your goal? So if you want to do an exclusive drop, which is just exclusive, whatever, do it on Ethereum. You know what I mean? But if your goal is to actually like drop a shirt and have, 50 units get moved, and what people can do is like purchase whenever they get the NFT, they're able to then pick what color, or if they want it long sleeve or short sleeve, or however you guys want to do it, right? There's a million ways to do this stuff. I would say you want to use something that has a smaller cap and less gas fees, because it's going to actually make sense for the consumer.
Yeah, because I know like we've talked about it before, because we were just joking around about like sending each other some like payment using these cryptos. The gas fees are almost like so high where it's like, that initial like $100 that I would send you kind of turns into $120 or something, kind of crazy. And it's like, well, I might as well just send them just regular cash at this point.
Right. And that's the thing, right? So that's why I say I personally say if you want to do something with low gas fees, Polygon, Matic, MATIC is the ticker. That's the best way to do it, because they are, you can send NFTs on their network and the gas fees are super cheap. So it makes sense. It just makes sense. ETH is getting outrageous. The gas fees are getting so ridiculous
that it
doesn't make sense to do it unless you're doing something exclusive unless you actually are going to try to
High
sell
value.
it for a high price. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
exactly right. Now, Joe, when you sent the crypto to Noah, did you have like any like transaction fees or anything like that? Or was it like small?
So I mean, I guess I did it through Coinbase, right? So I mean, I'm trying to think. The initial purchase, there's, they take their cut, whatever it is, 1%, 1.5%. And then when I sent it to Noah, there was, I guess, a blockchain fee.
Yep, that's your gas fee.
That's the gas
okay.
fee.
So yeah, all right. So I mean, yeah, I figured when you guys were talking gas fees, it was just a transaction
Yeah.
fee, and it wasn't a lot. I mean, I think when I sent him like $50 worth of Bitcoin, it was like
Cents?
50 cents or something
Okay.
like that. So maybe, well, it's still 1%.
So I have a question. Were they both on Coinbase?
So the purchase, my initial purchase, when I basically just PayPal, Coinbase $100 to buy $100 in Bitcoin, and then I transferred the money to Noah to, I guess he had like a 26 code, a digital wallet code.
On Coinbase, right?
Right. So I basically just said send the money to him, and at that point I think the only ding that I took was just the Bitcoin network transaction fee. Because I guess Coinbases are, I don't know. I'd have to go back and double check, but
Was Noah using Coinbase and you were using Coinbase?
Noah's not using Coinbase. I don't know what the hell Noah's using. I'm just assuming he set up a digital wallet, and I don't know who he set it up with because he's a minor, right? So he had to have done it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wanted to get him on
That's
so
what
he
I'm
could
saying,
explain it, right? Because I honestly have no idea what he set it up on, and I probably should ask that question as a parent, but I didn't. So he got it. I mean, he basically told me, "Yeah, I got it," and I know he's using it to buy Roblox accounts and silly stuff like that. But and it's but yeah, I paid him by sending the money to whatever it was, a 26-digit code.
Yeah, the wallet.
Yep, the wallet the wallet address.
Yep.
And let me tell you, Joe, you got a future billionaire on your hands.
I hope so. And trust me, he's living in the digital world 24/7. So I'm hoping that what you're saying comes true and everything turns to Tron because he'll be ahead of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. He will be. He'll be in that top 1%.
Yeah, for his birthday, he asked for crypto.
Yeah, he asked for Bitcoin.
Smart man. I don't want no cash, Dad. Just give me that Bitcoin.
Yeah. And I think his interest in this is one of those things that I being a technology guy since, the 80s, right? I think that it's always, to me, it's always something taboo or illicit that creates the initial interest, public interest. Like, and you could sit there and say, like, the internet and video and YouTube, right? Things like porn actually drove that. And you could argue
$1 billion
this.
industry.
Right. You could argue this, right? I mean, you could argue that the success is, kind of these taboo under the radar kinds of things. And I think that Noah, like, for instance, right, being, he's 16, but I think his interest in crypto was kind of driven by the dark web, right? And, he wasn't doing it, but I mean, stories of, you can buy drugs, you can buy contract killings and all the stuff, right? And it's, as a kid, you're very,
it piques your interest.
You want to know, right? You want to see what's kind of going on with this craziness. And I have a feeling that
that's a good point, actually.
That a lot of this dark web stuff is what kind of initially has created this interest in these cryptos, right? I think Bitcoin, I mean, I could be wrong and you know better, but I'm guessing that, crypto really kind of got its foot in foundation because of, dark web, not dark web transactions, but the concept, right? Oh, this is interesting.
Or all these horror stories from people that are like, yeah, back in the day, I bought a large pepperoni pizza with 10 Bitcoin. It's like, geez, bro, like today, like 10 Bitcoins, like what?
You would have literally had $500,000.
Literally, exactly. There's probably like so many of those cases. Like I know the pizza one's an instance of that, or like the guy who made like a few $1 million off the Dogecoin thing. Like there's always these like one-off stories that you hear about that are probably not so one-off. Like how many people do you think bought pizzas with Bitcoin, or
not
just
a lot,
or just completely forgot their wallet though that they had Bitcoin on? So it's like, it kind of makes you think, like, how much of this Bitcoin is just empty that's just not being used at the moment?
I will tell you, there's a lot. There was a story about this guy in Russia who, when Bitcoin just touched 50K, he was panicking because they demolished this building and he thought that he left his cold wallet there and he couldn't access it anymore. And he was like, yo, if we can go to that site, I will pay people so that we can find it, because the amount was like over $10 billion that he had.
Right.
Another instance, like my actual aunt literally lost her wallet and somebody gave her 6 Bitcoin.
Ouch.
Do you know how much it would be up right now?
Yeah, a
Like
lot.
300 grand, right?
You lost that wallet? Come on.
It's like a house.
You know, literally. So
yeah, dude.
Yeah, and there's no recourse, right? So that's it. You are done.
Yeah, you can't call Bitcoin the company and be like, hey, I lost it. There is no company. That's the whole thing, you know? It's gone.
Yep.
But I don't know, man. I mean, what looking forward, what do we got coming from you, DeLuca?
From me, man, I don't even know where to begin. I got a lot coming. As we speak, I'm actually currently working on a 3-song EP, which I just posted a snippet of one of the songs yesterday.
Okay.
I'm going to be dropping that as an NFT, most likely on the Polygon network, because I do want people to actually be able to get that. And you're going to purchase the NFT of the song and unlock the entire EP. I will be releasing this song out everywhere. It's going to be called Better Road. In addition to that, I have a follow-up of the book that I just released, Introduction to the Blockchain, that I'm actually going to be diving into strategies of how to invest in the blockchain and different avenues that you can make money as an individual, as a creative, or as a business. And then I have a book coming about my life, 25 years of life. It's just an autobiography, which I will also be putting on the blockchain, and whoever gets that will get access to an unreleased EP, as well as a poetry book, as well as something that me and Exclusive Minds are working on. So be on the lookout for that. And this is all going to be exclusive. There's not going to be 1,000 copies. There's probably going to be like 10.
Yeah.
Then in addition to that, I have...
Sound like you got a lot going on, man.
I got a lot going on, man. I have it's a 2 EP project. So it's 7 Heavenly Virtues and 7 Deadly Sins, which I'm just waiting for the final artwork of the 7 Heavenly Virtues. And we'll be dropping 7 Deadly Sins on all platforms. And then we will NFT 7 Deadly Sins, and you unlock the 7 Heavenly Virtues, as well as some other things. I kind of incentivize people to get my NFT because it really supports me as an artist. And then I'm able to create more. I'm able to do a lot more with my community that creates with me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's kind of looking forward to the next few months, looking into next year.
So do you have a website that people can find you?
As far as where you can find me, it really depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for me, an individual, you want to find me, just follow me on Instagram. It's Marcus, Marcus _ Levar, Levar. I'm active on there. That's probably the number one platform that I use. Outside of that, I'm also on TikTok. Again, Marcus Levar. If you want to find TikTok, my NFT that I just dropped, it's on Rarible. That's RARIBLE.com. You go on there, you search FKA DE LUCA, and you'll be able to find me. De Luca is spelled DE space LUCA, and before that, it's FKA. In addition to that, if you want to find my book, Introduction to the Blockchain, go to lulu.com. Just type in the Introduction to the Blockchain. I'm the only one that exists with that title, to the best of my knowledge. There are more blockchain books, but I'm the only Introduction to the Blockchain. Or just type in my name, Marcus Levar Carter, and you'll be able to find that book.
Yeah,
and that was, lulu.com?
Yep, Lulu, LULU.com.
Got it. Perfect.
Yeah. I feel like there's so much more to talk about, man. I feel like we kind of just, had
It's a good start though.
Yeah,
so I mean,
grazing
yeah,
over
this
top.
was very helpful. And
all I have to say is y'all got my number. So if you ever want to do it again, if you want to chop it up with me
Hey, man.
again, we can do it. We
We're
can cover
definitely
any
we're
other
gonna
topic.
spin back for
You
a
know,
part 2.
I'm
I already
around.
know.
well, I think what we'll do is let's why don't we each like just pick
2 cryptos.
2 cryptos. You pick one, I pick one. We'll do some research over the next week, and then we'll put like $100 on each one of them. And what we'll do is we'll just track the progress on a weekly basis. Is just kind of a or a quick recap, and let's track it against Bitcoin and Ethereum and the S&P 500 or something like that, and just see what happens.
And as always, we're not financial advisors.
We are not financial advisors.
Neither is Marcus. Marcus is not a financial advisor, so please, invest at your own risk. Thanks, Marcus. We gotta get you on for part 2 here soon, man.
Definitely part 2 and part 2.5 and part 3, part 3.47, all of that.
All right, man.
But before we go, I
Yeah.
do want to say this. I'm gonna leave y'all with this. I think you guys gotta have a introduction scene. You know what I mean?
We were thinking
something
about
like-
it. Yeah.
Listen, I got one for you. You ready?
Oh,
I
Christ. Here we
came
go.
prepared, man. I was like, look,
Oh,
man, I'm
no
gonna hook them
way.
up, and they can take this, and y'all could either use it or you can make it better. I don't
All
care
right,
what you do.
Let's hear it.
So, when you enter in on a podcast, you just come in. Thank you for tapping into the Exclusive Minds podcast. Today, we're going to be having an exclusive conversation containing exclusive content from some exclusive minds. I'm Rook and I'm Joe, and let's get right into it. Bam.
You gotta.
I like it.
I like that, man. That's good. I thought you were talking about like a jingle or some sort of like,
Bro,
singing
I'm talking
type
about
out.
that.
Yeah.
Hello, how y'all doing? Because every time you guys come on and you do give a little introduction, but if you do something like that where it's going to stick with people.
a slogan. I don't even know what that is.
This
like
whole thing's a learning experience, right? So I mean, it's only the 5th one, and I agree. I've been trying to mess around with GarageBand with some ideas to kind of do some canned tracks and maybe some advertising and all this other stuff. And wow, I just realized I'm over my head and trying to learn. But like you, I absolutely want to constantly learn and
Continue.
try to excel at different things. So I'm actually enjoying this whole process. It's been kind of entertaining and fun to say the least.
Pushing the envelope every time, man. I feel like every single time with our podcasts, we just keep getting better. We keep, kind of getting more smooth and refined. And every time I feel like it's the best one, man. I really like this one. I really like this one, and I really like the one where we have like a group of people just kind of like bantering off of each other. I just I don't know, I like the, what would that be called? The just
flow.
Like the flow. I don't know. There's a specific word I'm looking for, but the flow is exactly it. So I really appreciate you coming on here, man. We both do. I mean, it's a really good episode.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for having me. I've been so appreciative of watching this journey. I've seen Exclusive Minds grow. I've seen Rook grow as an individual. Joe, this is my, I guess, 2nd time talking to you over the phone.
Yes.
So even just in these 5 episodes, seeing you guys grow has been incredible. I truly believe that you guys are going to take both Exclusive Minds and this podcast to the moon. I think that you guys are going to be extremely successful. Just stick with it. Keep your head down and keep producing that content.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Well, this has been episode 5 of the Exclusive Minds podcast. It's been your boy Rook, Joe, and Marcus. Hope everyone has a great day.
Awesome. Take care, everybody.